Thank you, Cathaoirleach. I welcome the opportunity to have a discussion on this bill, which I think will benefit both employers and employees. I also want to commend both the Oireachtas and indeed Minister English for their ongoing efforts to support businesses and workers across the state, and it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge the work of others, particularly on the relevant committee, for the work that they put into this as well. I think this bill is symbolic of a suite of measures that government and indeed my own party have taken to protect workers while allowing the labour market and enterprises to grow even stronger. This includes a wide range of improvements in the pay and conditions of workers across the state, such as, but not limited to, improving parental leave, the introduction of a new public holiday on March the 18th and subsequently every St. Bridget's Day from 2023 onwards. We've also seen new measures brought in to protect workers' rights to keep their tips and gratuities, something that was not only right but long overdue. Soon auto-enrolment will be introduced for pensions, and indeed the minimum wage has been increased, I think 7 times, if not 8 times, over the last decade since Fine Gael entered government, something that has made a profound impact on the lives of workers. Furthermore, workers now have the right to request remote working with an option to appeal decisions to the WRC, allowing a more flexible and adaptable approach to work. Statutory sick pay will also add another layer of protection for employees and one less thing to worry about. A large amount of work has also gone into the introduction of a living wage in Ireland, and I note the work of Deputy Nash on that matter on an ongoing basis, along with indeed Minister English and Varadkar. Fine Gael has also remained steadfastly committed to the reduction of the tax burden on low and middle income earners, an important step that cannot be overlooked. The opposition often attacks government and indeed Fine Gael specifically on workers' rights, but having named just a few of the recent successes, it is clear that it's a political charge not backed up by facts or indeed the reality faced by workers every day. Progress must be recognised for what it is. I don't claim that we've gotten everything right, but I firmly believe that workers in Ireland are better off today than at any other time in the history of the state. We have an unprecedented 2.47 million people in employment at the present, and this is a remarkable achievement considering where we stood in March of 2011. The country has gone into a radical recovery, and despite the challenges we've faced throughout the pandemic, we have emerged with strong growth forecasted for the years ahead. The reason we have managed to do this is we entered into the pandemic from a position of strength. Indeed, during the pandemic, we saw swift and comprehensive action to protect both businesses and employees. We saw this with the introduction of the pandemic unemployment payment, the wage subsidy scheme, among others. There could be no doubt that these measures made an invaluable contribution to people's lives during the pandemic and also ensured that as many businesses survived, that many businesses survived what was an unprecedented period of time. To my mind, these decisions reflected the attempt to be as fair and all-encompassing as possible in a time of global uncertainty and instability. And I do note that the House, in fact both Houses, collectively supported virtually every measure that was introduced, particularly in 2020, and I think collectively we worked extremely well under the circumstances to put in place the measures that were introduced. This bill is yet another effort and example of the continuing commitment that government has towards people and indeed businesses. This bill, I believe, will help recently redundant employees who lost out on reckonable service during the emergency period, which has been extended to September of this year. It ensures that employees will be able to avail of a special tax-free state payment of up to €1,860. It will allow an employee to claim what is rightfully theirs. The Minister has also demonstrated the foresight to ensure that the wave of redundancy claims does not impact on businesses' ability to recover as we emerge from 2 years of restrictions and business closures. And I do believe that in the fullness of time, when the history of this pandemic is written, it will show that government and indeed these houses rose to that occasion, led its people safely through the fight against this deadly virus. It will also show that the government has at every turn has put people's health and safety first and spared no expense in supporting people financially as a result of the decision to prioritise health. This is not an easy time, and many families endured
the stress and worry as to whether their job or indeed their industry or company will be there when the restrictions are lifted. But given the numbers in employment and given our economic recovery, which has been nothing short of miraculous, I do hope that this bill, as is demonstrated by the contributions thus far, will have a swift passage through the Houses and be enacted as soon as possible. Thank you, Ceann Comhairle.
Thank you.